so stage 3.
Stage 3.
Tell us, what is stage 3?
Stage 3 is, they called it a bug out drill. So you start with this really beat up to hell Mauser. It's a Yugoslavian Partizan Mauser.
Ooh, it's a doozy.
We actually acquired it. The thing is a piece of shit. And so, but it's on a sling and it's just supposed to be a bug out gun.
Right, you have to carry it on the sling on your back the entire stage.
You start downrange with your pistol loaded. Your rifle is actually staged uprange at about 150 yards. 125 yards?
Yeah, I'd say maybe 100, I think.
All right, somewhere in that realm, I don't know. So you're down there, let's say 125 to split the difference. And up there, you pick up this little box of stuff to carry. It's not heavy, I don't think. Then you run up to your rifle, get behind your rifle, and you have to get 15 hits on a half IPSC size steel target.
Right, all one target.
Yep, just blast till you get 15. Then you put the rifle on safe, grab the box, run back downrange where you started, and then draw your pistol and get another 15 hits on the same target, but with your pistol.
All right, let's do it.
Gatorade.
I thought it was Red Bull.
Oh,
That's good too.
That's when we get to Vegas.
Ungodly rare. Apparently that's why he had one.
Yeah.
So that is 3 stages of shooting and 1 stage of existing in the desert.
Stage 4 is the temperature out here. 107 running around doing this stuff, it takes a toll on you. Even if the stages look pretty simple, the reality is 107, this dry heat, will kick your butt. And we even had a person who was just here watching, not shooting,
spectator.
And he's a heat casualty.
Yep.
So to put things into perspective, lots of environments are challenging in that regard, the Arctic, the desert. But the reality is, these look simple, but the reality is the temperature and the environment is a challenge in and of itself.
Yeah. Yep. So if you live in an environment like this and you are not used to doing physical exertion outside in extreme temperatures, hot or cold, make sure you understand your body and you understand how to exist in that environment before you just dive headfirst into a major event, whether it's a shooting match or physical sports or running or whatever you're going to do. Just a safety thing.
Coming from a nice coastal town to the middle of nowhere, Arizona, to shoot a match in 107 could be a rude awakening if you're not aware of what you're dealing with.
Yep, exactly.
So keep that in mind, guys. In general, the pistols didn't matter to me. I mean, the pistol scoring was interesting, but regardless of that, we're here to talk about the SCAR.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I'm pretty happy with it, with one big asterisk, and that's the malfunctions we had on stage 2.
Yes.
We've been doing some discussion between us and the rifle's owner about what may have been the cause of that. And so one thing to recognize is this rifle has 2 gas positions. It's got a suppressed and unsuppressed position. However, the way it's set up from the factory, it's still by this owner's standards, it's overgassed in the suppressed position. And he primarily shoots it suppressed. And so he actually replaced the vent with one that's specifically sized to reduce the amount of gas pressure in the system to tune the gun for shooting suppressed. And so, yeah, we're shooting it in the non-suppressed mode, but we're still getting a little less juice into the system. And the best case we can come up with is that combined with a slightly looser hold on the rifle may have been just enough energy absorbing with me moving backwards, just enough energy taken out of the system to cause it to short stroke.
Could be. So the reason he did that is when he got the gun, he put it in suppressed, and then put a suppressor on. It was fine. Well, it seemed overgassed. So then he tested suppressed mode unsuppressed, meaning the can was not on, but it was set to the suppressed setting, and he said it was still cycling.
Right.
And it shouldn't be for his purpose, because he wants it when it's suppressed, you're inducing a lot more gas into the system, and you want the suppressed mode not to work in an unsuppressed fashion.
Yeah.
So he put that different gas port in to decrease the amount of gas going into the system for that purpose. So as a result, in unsuppressed, it's softer shooting than a SCAR would be natively out of the box, but should not have induced the problem you ran into.
But we kind of had it. We also had. I was shooting ZQI.
Yes.
You were shooting Hertenberger surplus.
Yep.
So we may have just had like 3 or 4 issues where we're taking 0.5% out of the energy with each one, and all of those stacked up to cause a couple malfunctions.
Kind of like stacking tolerances.
Yeah, exactly.
You may have increased enough, you might have added enough of them together that you just got to that point where the gun was quite on an edge.
So if that's the case, well, it wouldn't be an issue with a stock SCAR because, of course, the gas system wouldn't have been monkeyed with. I think we're going to do some more tinkering and see if we can isolate exactly what the problem is.
I think we should legitimately try to recreate the problem.
Yes.
With you at home with ZQI.
Yep.
Because we're going to have access to it for about a month.
Yeah.
So.
Handguard, also not cool. The handguard sucks. That sucks.
Now, he's replaced his handguard, but I asked him, does the original have the same problem? He goes, yes, it does.
And he says it's worse.
The original one's Picatinny, and it actually has the same place where the heat transfer happens right here, where it's screwed and bolted into the system. And he said the heat transfers down into that Picatinny, and it just brutalizes you. So, and he didn't like it. So, as a result, or maybe he said it was Keymod, I apologize. But no, it was Picatinny. He said
yeah,
Picatinny.
The stock one is Picatinny.
This one's Keymod. And so that heat transfer problem exists on this aftermarket as well as the original.
Yeah.
And so I don't know what the solution to that is, except maybe better covers. If you have Picatinny out here, you could put covers like Manta covers or something like that.
Yeah.
Manta does a lot to mitigate heat on metal.
In theory, a good vertical front grip would do that if that's a grip style that you're happy with.
Something like that.
Something, yeah.
Something. If I were he, I would have left the Picatinny and probably tried putting Manta cover rail covers on it.
Okay.
They do a good job. But maybe you said a BFG or something. But this gets super hot.
Yeah.
And so you either land up doing magwell hold.
Yep.
Or wearing gloves.
Yeah.
And he said he wears gloves, and we wore gloves.
Yep.
So something to think of.
I got an interesting recoil impulse from that.
Okay.
It felt like a 2-stage recoil impulse. I felt like, kind of like you can sometimes get in an AR. You hear the bang, and you can kind of feel that the gun is opening, unlocking, and then you get your main recoil impulse when the bolt carrier actually stops at the back of the receiver. I felt like I could actually distinguish between those two.
You may be more in tune to that because I didn't perceive it. To me, this just feels like a soft shooting gun that feels softer than 308, given it's a 308. That's all I can say.
Definitely a very pleasant gun to shoot for 308.
Very nice to handle gun for 308.
Yep.
It's also well balanced.
The whole thing's made of aluminum.
Yep.
Well, obviously except the barrel.
No, everything's aluminum. This is aluminum. It's aluminum. That's aluminum. It's aluminum.
It's got an aluminum rubber butt plate.
Yeah, aluminum butt rubber. Yep.
Pretty cool. You know, we're talking about this being one of not a whole lot of options for modern 308s.
Yeah.
You know, as most of the 308s people are familiar out there with, you know, the quote-unquote battle rifles are all from the 50s. They're all Cold War guns. The M14, FAL, the G3, the BM59. It's interesting to see a modern take on it.
I'll tell you, I don't think I would monkey with the gas system just because that's just me. But I do lust for one of these, and I think it's an incredibly neat 308 variant on the market. And if you're used to an AR and want to upgrade to a bigger bullet, this thing really pulls that off in spades.
Yeah, I don't know that there's any real... I can't find any real justification for the SCAR in 5.56.
No, I agree.
But in 308, 7.62,
with the exception,
compelling.
I shoot a G3 quite a bit, and I like the G3. If the reason I'm using a G3 instead of this, and I'll be completely bluntly honest, is money.
Got about 2,000 reasons.
This is the 2,000 reasons. Each one's $1.
Yeah.
So the G3 is cheap. This is expensive. However, it is a much nicer gun.
Yeah. Well, we're going to be doing some more work on this thing, a whole bunch of other stuff that we'll play around with it, and see if we can get a more in-depth opinion or appreciation for the SCAR.
It's going to take us a while to get the most nuanced opinion we can about the SCAR 17, considering this is the first time we used it.
Yep. This is literally the first trigger pull I've ever had on a scar was stage 1 today.
And we jumped right into the fire by shooting a 2-gun match with it. So that's the way to do it.
Ungodly rare.
Oh.
Apparently that's why he had one.
That's when we get to those.